Okay, let's go.
Welcome to episode 6 of Unified Canine Connections Friday Fireside Chat. I'm your host, Karen Baxter, and today we have with us our lovely trainer, Dana Lambert.
That's me.
Yep, she's taking Ed's spot this week. We're going to do that periodically. We'll have guests and we'll have the other trainers step in. So this week we are talking about that very hot topic, punishment. Yeah, right? Yeah. So I don't know about you, Dana, but I see it all the time in the dog training world in particular.
Yep.
That term punishment is one way to light the fire.
It's a point of, I think, real discrepancy between trainers where some really feel a certain way about it,
Yes.
and it's hard to kind of find that middle ground. You're either one way or the other.
Yeah. And we'll get into why I think that is, or why we think that is, for sure. So disclaimer, before we get too deep into this topic, we're going to say that anything we say, we're not trying to center out anybody. We're not judging anybody's methodologies, whether you're for or against a specific tool, or you like a specific training style versus another training style. We'll talk about our beliefs and philosophies about it and how we feel ethical dog training should happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your dog training style is not good or is good. We don't know everybody's nuances in their training styles, so we're not criticizing anybody specifically. And definitely, I think that what we really want to get out of this today is, what does punishment actually mean and how is it used? And I think that's a really good place to start, because I think that there's really two broad definitions for punishment.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's the scientific one.
Right?
And then there's the everyday real world one that most people think punishment is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to take a stab at that? What do you think the definition of punishment is?
In the dog training world, in my opinion, would be something your dog doesn't like. So whether that's taking away something or making them do something they might not enjoy, but it's just something they don't enjoy or like. Whereas punishment, I think, to the outside world, they look at it as an emotion, like an anger response to something that happens, that then you will throw punishment onto whatever that is in response to what happened.
So like chastising.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you were a bad dog, or you were a bad boy, or you were, yeah, I agree with that. And I also think from the scientific standpoint, we had done in episode 2, I think it was, we talked about the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning. So it's just the way a learner perceives things. So we know that punishment in those 4 quadrants means something that you either apply or take away in order to stop behavior. So it's to stop something. That's really what it's for. And it's not to learn something or to add something. It's just to stop something.
Yeah, like an interrupter.
And then I'm with you. I think in the real world, we use punishment as a way to chastise, right? Or, I'm going to make sure, like, if the dog jumps on me, I'm going to knee them in the chest, for instance. I would never do that, by the way, but
that would be an example.
But it is an old way of doing stop a dog from jumping on you. Would be, people would say to knee the dog in the chest, right, to get them to stop jumping on you.
Or did you ever hear the one where, like, the dog urinates in the house, and then you're supposed to take the dog and rub their nose in it?
Yeah, things like that, where it's like, it doesn't really teach the dog what to do. It's just stops them from, in that moment, it's supposed to stop them from doing the thing. I actually think that often dogs don't understand what the thing we did that was unpleasant, what it was for.
Right.
I really think that there's misunderstanding on the dog's perspective on what the punishment was for. But if you're like really good trainers will be excellent at the timing and the nuance of things so that they can apply it and make sure the dog is connecting it appropriately. But that's really highly skilled trainers. So I find that most people are not really good enough at it for the dog to truly grasp why that's happening. So, but that's the two clear definitions, I think. One is scientific. It's, we add or remove something to stop a behavior.
Yep.
Right. And then there's the real world, which is the chastising, angry, frustrated response to a behavior that the learner is doing at the time, I think. And I think that the challenge with that is that those two different things, definitions, don't actually ever really meet. They don't mesh together very well.
No.
Because one is intentional and thoughtful and mechanical, and one is emotional. Right?
Reaction.
Yeah. So what kind of punishment do you think happens naturally in the real world, and how does that fit in? Because that's one of the arguments I've often heard is people will say, yeah, but punishment just happens naturally, so we can't eliminate all punishment.
Right.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, dogs are mischievous at times, right? Yeah. So they're going to get into things and eventually...
There's going to be like consequences.
Yeah.
Right?
Like dog sniffs a mousetrap.
Yeah,
and it
sets it
them
off.
on the nose. Yeah. I mean, it probably has happened,
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll learn pretty quickly not to stick their nose back in there.
Yes.
You would hope.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it's naturally aversive.
Yeah.
Which we'll go through in a minute as well. Right? So naturally, the dog is going to find discomfort or displeasure in that event, and then they're going to go, well, I'm not going near that thing again.
Right. I mean, I wish more dogs would think that with porcupines, but...
I know, right?
Or skunks. I mean...
You would think.
Multiple attempts, but still haven't learned their lesson.
And actually, ironically, it's kind of an argument against punishment, right? And it's success, because if it was super successful, it would happen one time and the dog would learn and that would be the end of it. But I know a person who has a Westie, and that Westie has been sprayed by a skunk so many times because the joy of going after the skunk far overrides any sense. It's not aversive to that dog. They just don't find it. It's not nice to get sprayed, but the fun of going after the skunk is just overrides that part of her brain. So she doesn't. She doesn't do it.
So it's worth it.
It's totally worth it.
Right.
Very good. Very good. So why do you think, though, if we can say examples of where punishment doesn't work or punishment can really hurt a dog, or why do you think that it's so attractive to people to want to use punishment when they're working with their dogs, or to even some trainers? Like, why would trainers want to use punishment when they're working with people's dogs?
Time. I think it's a quick win for a response. Like it feels like a quick response to stopping a behavior pretty instantly. And that's what we always joke about, like good training is boring, right?
Right. Yeah.
And it's not flashy like that. And I think when people are in a need or something's really driving them nuts and they just want the quick fix, well, why not go to something that's instant?
Yeah. And I think it's human nature too.
We're busy,
right?
We're busy lives. We have, and we live in that, in like this world is everything's at our fingertips. Everything's quick, fast paced, like you can order anything online and get it the next day, right? So we're in that mindset of like, I just want it done. Yes,
that's true. Right. I agree. I think that's part of it too, is that we just naturally think it's reinforcing to us to see the dog instantly stop doing something without thinking about what tomorrow is going to bring. It's the instant gratification of the behavior stopping is what it is, without really looking at, what is truly happening. Because really what's happening, all we did was suppress the behavior in the moment. So we stopped it in the moment, right? But there's no real understanding from the dog in most instances as to what is going on. They just stop that behavior in the moment. But tomorrow, likely that behavior is going to come
whole
back.
New day.
Right? Yeah.
Groundhog
exactly.
Day. Yeah.
Right? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because they're not really learning a skill. That's the challenge, right? The dog's
and they're
not
not necessarily putting it together.
They're not really putting it together. That's it. But for people who are overwhelmed, it's very attractive, I think, because they can feel the instant relief when a dog stops jumping all over them, for instance.
I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, but we know, just because we live in this, that we know that that's not longevity.
No,
right?
Exactly.
Like I said before, like everybody wants the quick fix because like, you know, you do quick things to fix something that's temporary because you're not planning to keep it. But with our dogs, do you want a quick fix because you're not planning to keep your dog? I don't think so. Like you want to have your dog in your lives for years to come. So is a quick fix the right answer for when you're dealing with
Right, and usually those
something?
quick fixes don't last, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Just like fixing a car just to hold on to it until you get a new one.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Or, you know, you're selling your house, so you're just going to do a few touch-ups. I'm living in that now. And then you don't want to spend a lot of money on it, but you just want enough and then just to sell, right? Again, because you're not staying in it. You're not keeping it. You're just kind of moving past it.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. So this leads us into, actually, we should define that magic word, aversive, because I think that's really one of those catchy phrases, words that we use that actually triggers a really big emotional response from people because the definition of what is aversive to a dog is a hot topic as well, right? So want to give to what are some examples of an aversive? So what's the definition? What is an aversive?
Something your dog finds no pleasure on, or you're applying something to your dog that they find uncomfortable or don't like,
and they work to avoid it.
Yeah,
exactly. Want some examples of in the dog world?
Spray bottle to the face to interrupt barking.
Mm-hmm.
The bark collars again, to spray them.
Yeah, like the spray collars.
Ones.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Beep collars. Same.
Yeah.
The choke collars.
Yep.
To hold back.
Leash corrections. Harsh leash corrections. Yeah.
The shaking.
Rattling like a shaker can. Yep.
E-collars.
Yeah. Shock collars for sure. Yeah. But even something as simple as social pressure. Yeah, prong collars for sure. Yeah. Social pressure, depending on the dog, social pressure can work.
You're throwing them into a crowded room where they may have...
A stern tone. Like if you just use a stern tone for some dogs, that's enough. I had this one dog that if I even just put my hands on my hips like this, like I was cross with him, he would like do a submissive rollover because he was worried that I was upset about something.
Like the raised voice.
Yeah, right. I didn't even have to raise my voice. I just had to put my hands on my hips. That's it.
That's like the mom pose.
Like a mom pose. That's it. I did that, and that dog was like, rolling over. So for that dog, that was aversive, right? For sure. Mine, this is one of my things I think is aversive.
Okay.
Head halters. I don't like head halters. Right. Yeah. And it's because of the dog's reaction. It's not because of
but it again depends. I guess
it does depend. Everything
depends.
Everything depends on the dog. Everything.
You know, a head shy dog, that's right. Torment.
So this is really good to then talk about what do we think is an extreme punishment. Let's define extreme. And that's a hard one. Why? Because I think it's nuanced. I think it depends on the dog. Right? So you could have an e-collar or shock collar used at a low level on a really tough dog, and they see it more as like an annoyance than a painful thing. They still don't like it, but it's not like ouchy, ouchy. So it's not really hurting in a really strong sense, and it's definitely not doing the super strong psychological damage. But I have seen a dog where on the very lowest level, they were so sensitive that when that person pressed that button, that dog screamed and leaped all 4 feet right off the ground.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Right. And so that dog, that was super aversive.
That was intense, extreme.
It was really intense. It was very extreme.
It was an extreme correction.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Any other? I think the way to describe it would be if it's shifted from just avoidance to fear, panic, right? Distress, right? Frantic, right? Then
it's too far.
It's too far and it's aversive.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen some brilliant trainers use e-collars in a way that don't look aversive at all.
Right.
Right? I have seen that. Yet, if you use it on a different dog,
It could
even
be.
with that method,
Yeah.
it could not go well.
Yeah.
And I think about, do you remember that, did you see that video that was on social media? There was a dog trainer and it was working with a dog, and the dog, they were in a pack, and the dog went and like started a little scuffle with another dog.
Okay.
And they went over and they took the dog and they put a slip collar on, a slip lead on the dog, right? And they like literally, as way after the fight happened, like whatever the scuffle was. So it's way past that. And they are like, see, this is then now this dog needs to be punished. That's the emotional response you were talking about
and
earlier.
timing.
Yeah, right. And
Timing.
so there's no matching up with what happened. And then they shocked the dog. I couldn't even watch the video because the dog started to scream, so I couldn't watch it. But yeah, and to me, that's harmful. That's not helpful. It's not good for the dog. It's not teaching them anything. And at that stage, to that dog,
they have no idea what happened.
Paired with a behavior, so they have no idea why that's happening. So to me, that's extreme. When I see that, that is extreme.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I don't like that. So, but anything can be extreme. That's what I was saying too. Like a dog who has an extreme sensitivity to a head halter and runs out of the room.
Not to have it on.
Not to have it
as
on.
an avoidance.
That to me is extreme.
Yeah. And then you tackle them and pin them down to put it on.
Yeah. Yep. That is extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't think that's good for the dog, right? And
why is the dog going to enjoy going for a walk after that?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So some of the common things that have been out there in the dog training world that are classified as extreme and aversive would be like high-level e-collar stimulation, harsh leash corrections. Like, so I've seen dogs with scars on their necks.
Yeah.
Like harsh leash corrections with the intent of causing pain. Like you're doing it, you know it's going to hurt because you're doing it harshly.
Yeah, you're basically trying to choke the dog out from a response.
Alpha rolls.
Yeah.
Like any of the alpha rolls or like harsh restraint or like forced, but like even shaker cans and air blasts, those also, they can be intimidating. Yeah. Anything intimidating where we're trying to like overly control an animal using our body posture
and a level of intensity.
Right. Yeah. And the level of intensity totally matters. So it's one thing for me to put my hands on my hips, right? Right.
Yeah.
It's, but that isn't it. That to that dog,
that was everything.
That was extreme for that dog. So I had to be very careful not to do that to him because he was just so sensitive. Right. So we don't really want to do that. And like with everything we know now about the neuroscience of the dog's biology, we know how these things affect them internally as well. So, because I've done a lot of.
I know. I'm waiting for you to bust out your science.
Yeah. So we got to get a little scientific a little bit, right? So, but we go to the biology of it, right? In the biology of a dog, right? Once they have an aversive, especially at the extreme levels, we know that what happens internally is that their brain switches into the amygdala, which is their fight and flight center and their survival instincts. And they have adrenaline and cortisol rushing through their veins. They do for a lot of things, but in the context of an aversive, right, that's preparing them to deal with the aversive in the moment.
Would you say that they shut down initially?
Some dogs will shut down. It depends on the dog. So every dog is different. So some dogs will shut down. Some will fight harder because it fight or flight, right? So you fight, flight, or freeze. That's what they say. So the shut down dogs are going to freeze.
Yep.
Right. The ones who panic are going to run.
Yep.
Yeah. The dogs who don't feel like they can run are going to fight.
Right.
Right. So, that's where you get those reactions from a dog. That's biology. That's not the dog thinking. In those moments, any of the skills they know or the things they actually are not really accessing that part of their brain. They're actually just living in the moment and trying to survive. That's all they're doing. So they're just coping. They're not actually capable of thinking the way we would like them to. We know their memory is affected. So like if you're trying to teach them things, they don't learn as well and they are not able to remember the stuff as well. So there's a lot of biology behind using aversives and their negative impact on learning. So if you're trying to teach the dog, it's not really an effective way to teach the dog. It's, so they don't really learn. So punishment suppresses, doesn't teach, right? If you use punishment that's not super aversive, but it still stops behavior, and you pair it with
desired behavior.
You can get some really good results, but that's the nuance of it. And this is where you have to know the dog very well in front of you, so you know what you can do. Because let's face it, there's just times where you just need to stop them from doing something in the moment.
Yeah, you got to snap them out of it. Yeah.
So I know, like, one of the methods I like to use is I go extremely still. Like if a dog is like bouncing around and being silly, and I can't get them to focus because their arousal level is too high and they're just being crazy and silly, I find being the opposite of what they're doing very good at getting them to just calm down and stop for a moment. And then once that happens, I can teach them what I want them to do. So that's a good example. Just me withdrawing in my energy and staying calm,
not matching
which
energy,
is a type of punishment, because I'm stopping them from being crazy by just being quiet. That's an example of where punishment is used and it's not harmful. It's not hurting the dog, right? So that's some of the things about punishment, right? The other thing to keep in mind from a biology standpoint, if the dog goes into that fight, flight, or freeze standpoint, they can actually be traumatized by what's going on, right? So, and when trauma happens, right, trauma only happens when their system can't resolve the stress, right? So if they don't know what's going on, if they're confused about the punisher and they don't know what they're being punished for and they don't know what's going on, that can lead to trauma. And so those are things you have to be careful of. And that's one of the reasons that we have to be careful with punishment. Punishment is a very powerful tool, but
used incorrectly,
it can really do some serious damage if you use it incorrectly.
Which is happening more and more frequently, I think, because people are seeing these videos of the quick fix, and instead of going to a professional and learning how to properly use the equipment, they're doing it themselves and ending up having exactly these scenarios.
That's
right?
It, exactly. There's too much fallout, right? And that even as a trainer, I've seen trainers, like the one trainer we talked about already.
Like poor timing.
And I even saw like a world-renowned trainer. So this is a trainer who's really good. He really knows dog psychology. He's been training for a very, very, very long time. And he was showing what he calls a conditioned punisher, which is the word no.
Okay.
So it looks, when you watch it, it looks like, wow, it's really powerful. It worked really well. It was a dog with high prey drive. He was going after squirrels. And so he said no, and the dog ran away from the tree. And this is what I didn't like, because I know what's going on. The dog tried to get in the house. He tried to leave the yard, right,
like
and go in the house.
Not just away from the tree, but out of the whole environment.
That's right. So that tells me he doesn't really understand that it's the squirrels.
No, it's like something in this environment
is
terrifying.
I don't know what it is. So I'm out and I'm going into the house, right? So, and because I know that what that trainer's training methodology is like, and from the reaction of the dog, I would put money on it that they used a shock collar to condition the no. And
well, especially from a distance.
For sure. So for me, I don't like that kind of fallout. I don't want to see that from my dog. So that's one of the things that I don't like about using those kind of punishers. And that's because at Unified Canine, we really care about the well-being of the dog. Not that they don't care about the well-being, they do, but their goals are different, I think, than ours. Right? So that's a good place to go. It's like, why do you think this is a controversial topic in the dog training world?
Well, I mean, how do I answer this?
Right? Yeah.
Well, like for us, we look at it as, what is your relationship that you want to achieve with your dog?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Do you want to be their lieutenant and they're your, the low rung, and like you're just telling them what to do and dictate? Or do you want to have a companion dog that is rooted with a strong foundation of trust and respect and reliability. I think it comes down to what is the relationship you want to achieve.
I agree. I think that the goals are different.
Yeah.
Like you said. So I think one is discipline, control, compliance, right? And the other one is ethics and ethics and relationship, and trying to really understand the dog from an ethological standpoint, like as a dog.
Yeah.
Right. And trying to fit that into the human world, which can be a challenge, by the way. So, because we humans have requirements that the dogs don't understand. So this can be a big challenge. But I think the biggest reason that it's such a hot topic in the dog training world is people take it so personally, like it's a slight on them.
Right. It's just like parenting. You know what I mean? Like, like if you do that with your child, like you're a bad parent, you know?
It's like you become labeled or identified with that thing.
Yeah.
Like you must suck, right?
If you have to use that tool, you must be a terrible dog parent.
Yeah. And the reality is, like I said, there are some phenomenal dog trainers out there that use tools that maybe I don't want to use, right? That doesn't mean they're bad dog trainers. They can be really good, but it becomes very emotional, I think, because they take it personally. They think that it's a slight against them personally.
Their skill level or their abilities.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's our personal belief that that's not how we want to proceed.
That's right.
With our relationship with our dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I think the biggest challenge we have too is that the science is there. Like it shows you what, like it has been proven. There is the biological impact. There is the psychological impact. Yes, some dogs are resilient enough that you can use harsher punishments and they'll be able to be okay with it. You can get some control over some of the harder dogs that way and things like that, where maybe they're more dangerous and you want to keep them from hurting people or whatever. My problem with that is I believe it's an illusion when you use a punisher to control a dog that is potentially dangerous.
It's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid that if you don't actually work the problem, you're always applying a Band-Aid. Yeah. So is that really what you want to live in? Is always having a wound that never heals?
Exactly.
Like, no.
Exactly. Plus, I think is dangerous.
It is dangerous. You're dealing with that unpredictability of like the world, and you're trying to manage it all on this tool.
And I've seen dogs like that where, it's okay, well, I went to this trainer and the trainer had me use a shock collar on this dog. So now I can walk my dog. It's great as long as that person is walking that dog with that shock collar on. But as soon as that person changes hands with somebody else, it's all bets are off.
And what concerns me with that is a lot of people don't understand the importance of timing. And not doing it at the right time, which then adds a whole other, you know, it's like a reward markers. You want to be timing those in when you hand it off to someone else. If they're slower with it, the dog doesn't have that communication and understanding.
They do not. And the other challenge too is there's another definition I'll have to give everybody. There's a phenomenon called superstitious association.
It's fancy.
Right? So really at the heart of it, what it means is the dog associates the aversive stimulus that you give them. Like, so if it's a shock collar, I'll use the shock collar as an example. I know I'm picking on the shock collar, but so let's say I'm picking on the shock collar. And
I feel like it's like the hot topic right now. So like that's,
we'll use the shock collar. Everybody knows what it is anyway.
We could say prong collar too, because everyone's like, ooh, prong collar too, right? So
but any tool that's going to stop a dog from doing a behavior, right? Sure. So I've got a shock collar on the dog and I don't want the dog to lunge or bark at a dog as it's walking by, or a person as it's walking. So I'm going to do person because I had a personal experience with this. So the dog was taught when they looked at a person and they or whatever, they got shocked by the shock collar.
Right.
So they could walk the dog down the street and the dog wouldn't look at the people. She avoided them. She avoided the people because every time she looked at a person, she got shocked. And then they came to me because nobody could handle this dog. Nobody. Just her person who walked her could handle this dog.
Okay.
And they came to me and they said, we're going to be going away for 2 weeks and we need to be able to put her in a boarding kennel where people have to be able to feed her and look after her and, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But right now, nobody can get near this dog. And literally, I put a chair in front of me, thank goodness, because the dog launched herself at me and was relentless. Your kind of dog was an old English bulldog, right?
No.
and she just kept coming at me, right? So now after a few weeks, she was doing better. She still didn't like me because it was really hard to get her to trust anybody because
every time she looked at somebody, she got hurt.
Going to hurt her. So, but she avoided me. So she just wouldn't look at me and things like that.
Also, just a bulldog thing.
So they were still using the e-collar though outside of training. So I had suggested, well, let me see if you're convinced this is the way I want to see. So bring it with you to the next training session. So they brought the e-collar, and when we put the e-collar on the dog, now remember, I'd had a few weeks where the dog stopped launching herself at me, right? They put that e-collar on, that dog lost it. Totally lost it. I couldn't even go anywhere near her. She totally lost it. So I told them to take it off. They were never to put it on her again in my presence because it undid all the weeks of trust building I had done with her. And she just panicked. So, which showed me she was also collar smart. She understood that the pain was coming from that collar, right? And she associated it with people. So, and so that really messed up that dog. That association, like I said, superstitious association. I've seen it work to the advantage of the dog because I've seen people use it for snake deterrent and, chasing cars. Same philosophy. We want the dog to think the shock is coming from the snake or the shock is coming from the car.
The cars coming their way.
Yeah. Right. And, so I know that people use it for those. I'm not saying that that's the right way to do it. I'm just saying I know people have done it for that. But it shows you how superstitious association works, where the dog associates the pain with the thing in the environment.
Like the bark collars, people put the bark collars on the dogs bark, stuff sprays. Now they're out of spray. Right? So what do? They're like, don't make me put the collar on. And they know as soon as that collar's on, they won't bark, right?
That's right. Yep, exactly. And I think, too, the difference in the training, for trainers who like to use those tools, right? Ed has talked about this before, about the order in which we do things. So because we subscribe to that least intrusive, minimally aversive philosophy, we like to start with training goals and, management of the environment and doing all the things because we're trying to change the way the dog feels, right? And we might use a punisher if we need to interrupt behavior if the dog is so fixated that they can't think. So we might interrupt to kind of snap them out of it a little bit and then move them away, let them calm down, and obviously not put them back in that scenario until they can handle it, right? So whereas another training philosophy might be, no, let's start with
at the top
and then work our way backwards, right? So we'll start with a shock collar or a prong collar or a leash correction or something like that first, right? And then teach after. But that is the difference between compliance and control and giving the dog some control and
explanation,
helping them feel safe, right? So there's a difference in the approach, right? One is about the well-being and the way the dog feels, and the other one is about controlling what the dog does. That's, I think, the two main differences in the approach, which will then dictate what tools you're willing to use and how you're willing to teach the dog to do things. That's what I think is the difference.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it makes sense to me.
It makes sense to me too.
Just me. But.
So it's not about being cruel at all. It really isn't. It's really about being certain and clear and making sure the dog understands. It's not about that. And adversity is in the eye of the learner. So if a dog finds a shaker can terrifying, I'm not using the shaker can on that dog because it's going to damage them. It's going to traumatize them. Right. But there again, if they find a head halter traumatizing, I'm not using that either. Right? So it really does. It's not that we never use them, by the way. We do use,
use them.
we like a specific one. We like the candy collar. It's the one we use, but
not all dogs.
Not all dogs. And the dogs that do use it, you know, we like to take time to get them used to it. And, you know, getting used to it doesn't mean, though, that they love it. So that's why I'm still not a big fan. But I'd rather train and teach than use a tool. But I understand that for some people and for certain dogs,
just to
it
get
could be a
through
safety
life,
issue. So we have to put some
have
tool on them.
Yeah.
Right. So we will try things like, you know, no pull harnesses or head halters or whatever the dog needs, whatever the person needs. So
the strength of the dog.
And the strength of the dog. It all matters. All of it matters. And you have to look at the dog that's in front of you. That's why that's our philosophy at Unified Canine. We look at the dog and the person that's in front of us and
it's not
assess
a cookie cutter
their
answer.
needs. There is no cookie cutters.
Yeah.
No, exactly. It is very, very nuanced and complex.
It really is. You kind of have to know, as I would say, a good dog trainer should know all of it.
Right.
Understand all of it.
Yeah.
To have a better idea or plan to move forward in terms of all of these things we've mentioned.
That's exactly it. Yeah. So I got a little write-up that I did for like the closing. So I'm just going to kind of read that. I didn't try to remember it all because it's it's too important. I want to make sure that we were talking about it correctly.
Fair.
So it's just a reflection on how Unified Canine operates and on ethics and on punishment. So when we talk about ethics in dog training, it's easy for people to assume that an ethical approach means we never use punishment. It's easy for people to think that.
Right.
It's not the way, though, right? So it's not true. It's not even realistic because that's life. Life has things that are punishing, right? Ethics does not mean avoiding all forms of discomfort. It means understanding how and why behavior changes and choosing strategies that respect the dog's system, their emotional well-being, and their long-term resilience. That's what we try to build here, right? We start right from puppies trying to build resiliency so that they can handle everyday stressors in life. We recognize that punishment exists in the real world, so we're not delusional about that. We totally get that. Dogs experience naturally occurring aversives every day. So if they stick their nose in a mousetrap, or they bump into a table, or they lose access to something they want, like a treat or a toy, or a room. Yes, exactly. Some dogs handle that well. Some dogs don't. Right? We're working with a puppy right now. If you put him behind a barrier, he is so distressed if he's behind a barrier. And in training, there are moments when you use mild, well-timed, predictable consequences to create clarity. So that's the putting the boundaries in place so that you can steer a dog in the right direction. And so we don't use punishment to intimidate or overpower or shut a dog down.
Yeah.
I've heard of that before. You know, when we got to break them down first before we can build them back up, we don't do that. That's not our way, right? This is our way of training, right? We don't use shortcuts. That's what you're saying about training is boring.
Training is boring. Good training is boring. Longevity training is boring.
That's a quote from Michael Ellis, I believe, right? We don't use punishment in our foundation of our method. Right. That's not the way we like to teach. And remember, punishment doesn't teach, it only suppresses behavior. We like to teach, right? So our ethical line is simple. If a consequent teaches without fear, if it's proportionate, if it's predictable, if it's paired with guidance and support, and if the dog's emotional state remains stable, then it can be part of a humane learning process. I like that. I think that really sums it up, how we like to do it, right? If it creates panic, confusion, shutdown, or avoidance, it's not something we want to put into our plan, right? If it is intimidating or painful, right? Or if it prioritizes control over compatibility, we don't want to use it. Sure. We don't want to do it, right? So now, having said that, like I said, we always look at the human's needs as well as the dog. So there's usually a balancing act that we have to do in there.
There's a safety issue.
Absolutely. So for us then, it's not an ethical choice because it's not necessary. It can be done, if it can be done, let me try that again. For us, it's not an ethical choice because it's not necessary, and it can do more harm than good, right? So if that's the thing, then we don't want to do it. If it can do more harm than good, we're not doing it. We build behavior through understanding and not suppression. And we use structure, clarity, reinforcement, and thoughtful consequences that help dogs learn without compromising their well-being. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yep. We don't train for control.
Nope.
And we train for competence. We want the dogs to learn how to self-regulate. We want them to learn how to cope and live and survive in the human world and to coexist with the people that live in their home, right? And so we want them to be confident and we want them to have great relationships with those people. So we really work on building relationships with everybody in their home, right? And above all, we train with the understanding that every choice we make shapes not just behavior, but the dog's experience in the world. And that is the ethical responsibility we take seriously, because we're having a huge impact. As a trainer, when people come to us and they are looking to us for guidance on how to teach their dog and how to coexist with their dog, what is the Spider-Man phrase? With great power comes great responsibility.
I am not a Spider-Man. You gave me Star Wars, I'd have you, but Spider-Man, not so much.
With great power comes great responsibility. And people come
Peter
to us
Parker.
as the expert. So as the expert, we have an ethical responsibility to educate them on how to exist with their dogs in a really healthy way that is not likely to end up just breaking trust with the human and the dog or creating any situations where aggression can arise. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final words on punishment?
No.
You think it's all been said?
No, we covered a lot, and it's a tricky subject, and people are sensitive to it, because I think everybody or anybody that's watching this probably is going through their head thinking, have I done that? Have I punished my dog in a way that might have broken a relationship, broken trust, and have I done any of those? Have I used a tool that might have been, I'm pretty sure everybody's kind of questioning themselves.
Probably.
We've all probably done it at one point in our lives.
100%.
Like 100%. I know
100%.
I've probably used a tool that was not correct or not
And we're
sized
human.
properly on my dog and, didn't actually know how to use it. And it's just educate yourself better, understand better, be forgiving
100%.
of yourself and grow.
Yeah, because when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Right? For sure. And you're right. And like no judgment. We're really big on not judging people at all for what you do. You do the best you can with what you know in the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly the best you can do with what you know.
Yeah.
So that's why we always like to keep digging in for more information. It's never what you know. We want to know everything. It's best to know everything.
Yep, exactly. So feel free to comment. You can disagree with us. We're okay with that. I'm all right with a disagreement for sure.
Or a suggestion.
Absolutely.
Or
Comments.
something we haven't considered.
That's right. Yep, definitely. Yeah, we tried to cram as much as we could into this session, and we could have went on for hours, really. There's so much to talk about.
She could have gone on for hours.
Yeah, don't let her fool you. But yes, please feel free to comment. As usual, you know what I say, if there's any topics you want us to cover in the future, please put in the comments or send us an email, info@unifiedk9.ca, and that's letter K number 9. And next week, I think we are going to be doing arousal. And the reason we're going to be doing arousal is we did punishment, we're going to do arousal, is I really want to do reactivity, and I don't think we can talk about reactivity without understanding those. Yeah, so we're going to do arousal next week, and then
there's a method to our madness.
always a method to our madness. So you can watch also. There'll be more information on punishment. I'm going through a series of myths that I'm posting on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And until then, we will see you next week. Bye, everybody.